The garage is a little crowded now because the RBZ has gotten a new roommate. And she's a sister from another mister. Alright, first, before we go on, let's get this out of the way. It's Stashtober. Every October I grow a mustache. All the cool people, we all do that, so I'm digging it. I like the way it makes me look. Some people argue, my wife will, but that's what that's all about. Now let's talk about the fact that, yes, there's an R32 GTR sitting in my garage. Is it mine? No, I wish it was. I wish it was mine, but no, it's just here. A local guy is having a little bit of trouble. He just bought it from Japan. It's now legal, it's US legal, plated, it's regoed. Everything's good to go with it, but it's not running right, and he wanted me to just kind of go through it and clean it up and just make it more streetable in general. The good news is that it's nice to have a legit GTR here to kind of do some comparing and contrasting. And that's exactly what we're going to do with today's project. Some time ago, I talked about how the first project that I wanted to do was installing an oil catch can on the RBZ. That is exactly what we're going to be doing on this episode of TueZday Garage. Right here is the oil catch can system we're going to be using. It's a dual catch can system by Radium Engineering. And I've already got some pre-cut hoses, and you're wondering, BC, why is it all pre-cut, pre-fabbed, pre-done? That is because there's a guy, there's another RBZ that exists in this world, Mr. Scott H, and you can find him if you look through my YouTube. You can find him. He'll be linked in there somewhere, right? He is parting out his RBZ, and it's a beast monster creation, E85, custom built by Raw Brokerage. If you need something, you need to be contacting Scott. I got the good fortune of talking with him, got that kit, and I want to talk more about why an oil catch can is a thing, how that system even works to begin with, what are some traps and pitfalls you don't want to fall in, and actually I want to compare it to the oil catch can system that's on this GTR right here and show you why we're not doing it that way. Alright, so ultimately a catch can replaces parts of the blow-by system, and the blow-by system is typically made up of this PCV valve that's existing right here. It runs to the valve cover, and then the valve cover, it runs to your intake side of things. On the intake side, it runs to the vacuum side of things, not the pressured side of things, and that's important. If we do our studying of what a PCV valve and what it does not do, there's a lot of mystery surrounding whether I should delete it or not. So let me tell you this. I have done tons and tons of research when it comes to should I delete my PCV or not. The main thing to know is, how does the PCV operate? PCV valve exists so that the valve stays open, and under throttle or under idle and low throttle conditions, it's pulling air, it's drawing air through the valve into the engine, okay? The same thing's happening on that intake side. As the air is rushing by into the turbo, it's creating a vacuum because it's being sucked into that turbo, it's passing by that opening, and that in turn creates that vacuum type signal. Same thing goes on this. PCV valve exists in the balance tube. The balance tube is right on the back side of the throttle bodies, right before they go into the cylinder head, and so the air is being sucked into that side of the engine, it's creating a vacuum. What happens when we're under boost? When we're under boost, the PCV valve actually shuts solid, shuts closed. No air is going outward of the PCV valve. So what is that to say in the RB setup? So in the RB setup, they went ahead and put like this balance tube, I guess you could say, that goes between the two valve covers. And this side is going to the PCV valve, and this side is going to the intake side. Now, why is the valve here? The valve is here because it's on the side of the engine that is under pressure. However, when it's in a vacuum condition, it is sucking air out of this valve cover. It's siphoning those excess gases, and sometimes there's oil particles in that, and it's siphoning that into this part to then be burned into the engine. Now this side is doing the same thing. It is siphoning air via vacuum into the intake side of this turbo, and this is just here to kind of, I guess, balance things out. But at no time is air going this way. It's not pushing through this and pushing and coming into your intake. What is the possibility that can happen? This is drawing vacuum, and there's oil particles like mist, oil particles in the air, and it's drawing in, and over time we build up sludge and we build up oil deposits inside our intake manifold. Same thing on our intake side of the engine, right? We're pulling those oil particles, and over time That's when you start to see turbos, like on the compressor side of a turbo, you start to see it kind of being coated with oil in the turbo wheel. That's what's happening. So the fix is a catch can. This is the engine of the GTR as it's sitting in here. And this thing has definitely got some work done. But let me show you this guy's catch can setup. So here's the catch can. This is where the battery would have normally sat. And you can see these two lines leading up to the two valve covers. One is closed off there and one is closed off there. Now this extra can is leading also to the catch can, and additionally it leads down to the engine block. I don't really understand the point of that. I think it's to just recycle oil vapored air. Let's talk about what's going on here. Right here you can see where the PCV valve is, and that has been blocked off, so that's shut. Nothing to worry about that. But you see these two tubes that are going to our catch can. Now why is this setup not good? Why is this the wrong way to do it? If you look at this, there's a couple other tubes coming out of here. This one is just going straight down to the ground. It's not doing anything. This one is leading, like I said, over to this can here, which I believe is then leading to the block. Definitely did not go to the intake track. The problem is that in order to draw the air that's full of oil vapors out of the engine sufficiently, there has to be some sort of vacuum signal, and that's what this PCV does, and that's what the side on the intake side is. It's drawing a vacuum to pull that excessive air out of the top of these covers that may be oil vapored. But without a vacuum, the engine is not going to inherently push air out of this. It might push some, but it's not going to be an efficient system, okay? While you see this type of setup all the time, effectively, this is very, very passive oil separation. And in my research, this is really not doing anything for us. This is the Radium Engineering dual catch can system that we're going to be using, and I believe they actually, this was probably before they actually sold the dual catch cans themselves. This is two singles that are mounted on a thing. Now this is, I believe this was done by Raw Brokerage for Scott's Z. So this is so I'm actually getting some nice custom fab stuff for his car, and we actually might need to make some modifications to the hose links and everything for our actual application. These top hoses are where the valve covers are going to feed our lines into this. The bottom ones is where we're going to get our vacuum signal, and the way this works is it's going to be pulling the oil vapors down through some sort of like filter material, usually steel wool, and then the air signal's coming out. We're never going to be pulling the oil all the way through the system and back out to our intake. It's going to get trapped in here, and then these are for drainage purpose. In order to achieve the dual vacuum, instead of taking our vacuum from this side and that side for the two valve covers, we're going to actually be bringing our two lines here that will then go into a Y. We're going to be pulling our vacuum off of this intake side here for the two valve covers, and then we'll end up capping this PCV off completely. So in order to get this to work, we're going to have to probably do a little bit of modification to this kit that we have, because it's definitely custom to his install. And I know that his coolant tank was in a slightly different position. Everything should line up pretty well and be pretty good to go. However, there's one thing I have to do before I start to do this job, and that is the annual safety inspection for Hawaii. Tomorrow morning, I have an appointment at 10 a.m. to go get my safety inspection. I'm going to bring you guys along with me. We're going to go get that done, because I don't want to start getting in the middle of modifying the car and get stuck somewhere or have some issue. So let's get that safety done. Let's get our sticker. Let's be good for one more year, and then let's install this catch can system.
So I've got a couple of requests lately about doing some rolling shots and some other in-car video. One of the problems with that, or I guess one of the difficulties with that, is that I live right on the outskirts of Honolulu itself, so it's a very, it's a big city, metropolis, not an urban environment, so finding a place to just kind of set up a camera and do back and forth flybys can be, definitely will be a challenge for me, unless I go like more out in the country of the island. But I went ahead and took some time today to mount up the GoPro. If you're not a big fan of the wide angle on the GoPro, sorry, it doesn't bother me too much, but I figured, it'd just be kind of a good view. And, I'm still kind of playing around with all the perspective. But Anyway, figured while we go up to this safety inspection, because we're headed to the north central part of the island of Oahu to do the safety inspection today. So figured we'd take it around. Let's do a couple spirited takeoffs, and you guys can kind of see what I get to, I guess, see and hear what I get to enjoy inside the car. Right now, the car is still just running wastegate pressure of 9 pounds. Nothing major, nothing fantastic. Still amazing though. Still enough to be super, super fun. You'll have no complaints from me with the speed of the car at this point in time, but it's just going to get better. It's going to get more amazing as time goes on. All right, a little bit of a drive, about 15-20 minutes, and yeah, we'll be where we need to be. I'll tell you this, man. The one thing I'm really pleased with. Let me roll these windows up. One thing, there's two things that I'm really pleased with this build. One is the exhaust system. So I think we got the exhaust system just right. Like right now I'm sitting here cruising 60 miles an hour. Speed limit's 55, so it's not like I'm trying to be like, you know, slow driving Miss Daisy. This is like the cops corridor, man. This is not where you want to speed. But we got the exhaust just right. So 60 miles an hour, just under 3,000 RPMs, and the drone is perfect. Like it's not annoying, it's not overly loud, it's not like rattling your guts. It is just right. The second thing that I feel that I really got right in this build is the cooling system. So where we're driving is the center of the island. It is uphill all the way from Honolulu out to this area, and there's many times where you see cars that have overheated. I've seen trucks on fire from pulling up this part of the interstate because it is just a continuous uphill pull. I've had friends that have overheated and had to been towed. So, and we're sitting here, and I don't even think my fan is kicked on once, which means that we've stayed below 195 degrees this entire time driving up this hill. And that is a testament to the radiator setup that we chose and everything else going on with the coolant system. So I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back, but I definitely, I'll tell you, anytime you're doing any kind of custom build, it really pays to do your research and spend that little extra ching-ching to do it right the first time. And don't always go with what everybody else has done. This is our exit up here, so I'm gonna head off, gonna get our car inspected. Man, next time I see you, we should be getting our sticker and have a legit RBZ in Hawaii. So my appointment with the inspector is a little delayed, so let's kill some time, spend some gas, and go check out the surf condition on the North Shore, man. Causes a lot of congestion because tourists are turning, you know, pulling in, pulling out. But there is no traffic right now, which is phenomenal. So we've got enough time. We're going to head all the way to Waimea Bay, which is one of my favorite spots on this island. And hopefully we can get some good snaps and watch the tides. All
All right, this is one of my favorite spots on the island, Waimea Bay, and I think it's just because like some really good memories have been made here, but it's also just an incredible place to just hang out and soak up the sun. In the wintertime, the waves here are insane. Like we're talking 15 to 30 feet sometimes. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, let's take a couple pictures of the car while we have this amazing backdrop, and then I'm gonna go get my safety done and get back to the garage. Aw, yeah, too legit to quit. It's the next day. We're back in the TueZday garage and ready to get working on this catch can, man. I'm pretty excited. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, so really looking forward to getting the install done. But first, let me talk about the preparation and everything we need to do to kind of get everything put in place. This is the area where it's going. This is where I chose to put the fuel filter, and so the line kind of runs right here. I may end up redesigning the way this is mounted. I think everything's going to be fine. There's a little piece of battery tray right here where we're going to be mounting the catch cans. It's going to sit about that kind of an orientation. Here are the catch cans right here. Again, this is a custom bracket that was built for Scott, not for me. I might need to flip it around or whatever, but essentially these are going to mount right about like that. Yeah, might need to actually flip that bracket around the other direction. Everything's going to be a pretty tight fit, but yeah, it's pretty good. I'm going to take this apart. I'm actually going to pull apart the catch can themselves. The bottom area screws off right there. I'm going to take a look at the steel wool, maybe swap that out, get everything cleaned up and prepped, and then put it all back together, start drilling some holes and mount it. Got the catch can all apart, and I wanted to kind of show you the internals and everything. This is the bottom half. You can see there's some moisture and oil, obviously, because it has that frothy brown look, so that's just environments. Probably, I don't know, this is left over from him. But if we look at the catch can itself, so this is the inlet coming out the top, and if you look, it goes through this screen filtery area right there, which is awesome. So no need to put the steel wool in there because it's going to come through here. It would then go down into the chamber, but then you see the air has to go back up and out the outlet. This is where our vacuum signal is, so there's no way we're going to be pulling that stuff straight through. I might still put a little bit in there, which would just kind of decrease any kind of potential splatter. But also check this out. So these come with this dipstick that you can unscrew, and so you can kind of check the level of the actual oil itself inside the catch can to see how full you are with the oil. So that's kind of cool. The great thing I like about these is just a really incredible design, and it's extremely super compact. So Radium Engineering, they're on the Raw Brokerage website, but you can go straight to Radium Engineering, and when you order the catch can, you can go through a plethora of different fittings and stuff that you want to use depending on your particular application. The mounting plate is now in. Everything in this area is tidied up. This little area back here is going to be really good, especially for the wideband sensor wiring and potentially stereo equipment stuff, be able to mount to the firewall, and that'll be kind of tucked away in behind. Did have to just push the fuel filter a little bit forward, but in the same bracket, but it's going to be just fine out of the way. No kinks happening here. Everything's going to fit nice and perfectly and snug. It's almost like I planned it. But anyway, I've removed the hose that's going from the PCV to the top of the engine, and then the one that goes across and the one that goes there. And now we just need to pull these mechanisms out. Now, if you look really closely, I don't know if you could see, you might see the glistening. There's actually a little bit of oil sitting right there, man. So this is the importance of this kind of thing, man. It's like, and we haven't even been driving this car that long, but we're already getting oil deposit in the top there. So I need to pull these out. These are tricky. I want to try my best not to damage them. But yeah, they're going to take some muscling. And the thing I need to install are these little doohickeys from Raw Brokerage. So I'm going to get those, get everything primed, ready, in place, and get these dudes in. Got these two out, man, stubborn as heck. Kind of lost a little of its round shape. The intake side was bad. The exhaust side, as soon as I broke it loose, I was able to pull it out by hand. But this thing required some tools, man. Now with those out, we need to put in the Raw Brokerage pieces, which will allow us to actually screw our hoses, our fittings on. And these are the guys right here, and they're gonna press right into the openings that are left. Gonna pop those right in place, and then everything will start to line up. We'll get the catch cans mounted up. That way we start to know our hose run lengths, and if we have to modify some of the lengths of hose, we'll be pretty close to calling this a wrap. All right, the fittings have been pressed into the valve covers. I did make a slight tiny bit of damage to the threads. In order to not mess up the top, I used this socket. This is a 1 1/16. I think it would be roughly about 25 millimeters would be the right socket to get over the threads and just onto the base part here. So it'll all be good. Everything's gonna sit and seal perfectly right here. Really cool place to go ahead and bring it back and show you what's been going on. The dual catch cans are loosely installed, just kind of fitted into place where they need to be and start to run the lines. Now, again, his was positioned slightly different, so where these are ending up and where they're going are not exactly where we want to have them. But the next piece of the puzzle is this Y joint here. And so I need to go ahead and make the measurements and put this Y in a position. I think I'm going to put it right about here. So I need to shorten up this top tube so that it connects there, and then that bottom tube need to shorten that up. Now, this originally went all the way around to his intake. He has a single turbo. It was also fitted with something in the intake pipe. We've already got that going on. There's no sense in re-engineering. We'll just put like a butt connector on this guy and it'll be good to go. I'm gonna get all these hoses fit, cut. I'll bring you back in once we actually start making some connections and feeling a little more solid and like everything's in its place. Bro, I'm working up a sweat. It is so humid today, and this is some serious work. One down. Oh man, a few to go. So I'm gonna get the rest of these shaped. Definitely one of the things you want to try and do if you can is using aluminum wrenches, aluminum spanners, and obviously a vise, right? A vise would make this way simpler, but I don't have a vise, so we're doing it. We're making it happen. A few more to go. This thing's gonna be cherry. I am freaking tired. This is a lot of work. And anyway, I figured since I was taking a break, I'd go ahead and bring you guys up to speed as to where I'm at, because it's an exciting place, man. Lots of cool stuff. So I just finished making this hose right here, the one with the 120-degree brake. But check this out. Our vacuum lines are all good to go into the Y, all the way around the back of the engine, and into that vacuum line that goes into the rear turbo intake tube. So yes, our vacuum signal is good to go. And now I just finished this 120 degrees, so we can go ahead and attach this side right here. And it is gonna come and mount up just like that. Yeah. Perfect. Oh yeah. Man, that looks so cool, so clean. It's definitely busying up everything back here, but that's all right, man, because that's what this whole space was allocated for. But yeah, right on. Okay, so I have this one last tube, but like I said, I'm taking a break. I'm gonna eat some chips, man, and get some water and maybe have some liquid energy. While I'm chilling on the couch, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. First, Tim's salt and vinegar, the best salt and vinegar potato chip ever made. Okay, some housekeeping. The couch. I've had the couch for a long, long time. It's always been a dream to have a couch in my man garage. Previously sitting in this exact spot was some transmission parts and some other stuff for the swap. Now my couch can come from where it was in the house to in the garage, so awesome. Got the couch. Car wouldn't start, had some problems, showed some pictures of the fuse box, talked about it being full of soapy water. What happened with the fuse box was I mounted it this way with the lid downward. It was right underneath the headlight bucket. It was protected from the elements. Nothing should have gotten into it, but there's a huge hole underneath the headlight bucket for part of the headlight itself. Water came through that big hole and filled up a giant cup full of water, so all the fuses and all the fusible links, everything was like submerged in the water. Just created a massive short. When I put it all back together, used a lot of dielectric grease in all the contents, mounted it on its side, drilled some holes for water to get out. Eventually, I want to put some kind of drainage system underneath the headlights so that water can't directly go onto that. I talked about a lot of room in the garage now. I just had a garage sale. I sold a bunch of S chassis, Z chassis, and Skyline stuff. Huge response. Thank you to everybody that came out. I was able to meet a lot of people, make a lot of contents. We had like basically a freaking car show here in the cul-de-sac. It was amazing, dude. It was other Skylines and S chassis and a lot of sweet cars. Any of you guys are watching this, thank you very much for coming by. You helped me out tremendously. Hopefully I did the same for you. I definitely want to stay in contact. And lastly, the GTR. The GTR is not mine, guys. I wish it was mine. Yeah, it's in the TueZday garage. Yeah, I'm working on it, but it's not my car. I wish it was my project, but it's not. Just so happens to belong to the guy who owns the business that we got our safety inspection done at. It's all good, paying it forward, right? Full race car, not very streetable. He said, dude, I need it more streetable. Some fuel system problems, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, the main fuel pump was bad. We're replacing that. Basically, taking this car to be way more streetable, but yet still be a monster. So that's what I'm working on with the GTR. That said, we're not in a rush to get that done. He's excited about it, but we're not in a rush. So let me know if you want me to cover some of the work on the GTR in the TueZday garage, because I'd love to do that. That'd be cool and be a chance for me to kind of show that car and people get to see a more intimate look at maybe otherwise they wouldn't. So I'm almost cooled down. We're going to have some more chips and then we'll get back to the Z and finish her up. And the very last piece is to cap off the PCV like that there. Make sure I put a clamp on that dude and voila. Everything is set up. Our catch can system is installed, man. Like I started out here, we compared the catch can that we were going to install to the one that was in the GTR. Now, you just kind of see how much room this takes, how short the tubes are, how it can still fit the battery. No requirement to relocate the battery because of the Braille battery. We got our coolant, we got our radium engineering tank and everything like that. We look back over at the GTR, big old box, garden hose. We're gonna clean this up though, man. That's one of our tasks, is to clean this up, make it look pretty. He actually said, hey, can you make my engine look like yours? I said, sure. With enough time and enough resources. Wink, wink. If I remember right, for the dual catch can, it's $350, I think. Probably more than what that setup costs, but guys, I think this is the superior product. I really, really do. Aw, yeah. There is more content to come on the RBZ, because I do have projects laying around and still stuff that I got to get done. I talked about doing the fuel system, the fuel rail, and all that stuff. That might be a little while, but eventually, guys, we're going to get to it, man. In the meantime, I'm going to keep putting some miles on this, get through this tank of gas, and start looking at putting on a real tune. Tell me what you think about working on the GTR in the TueZday garage. I think it'd be a cool idea. I'm already doing the work. As you can see, doing the work, man. So, good things. Good things. Not only does it look great, it's going to be way more functional, better for the engine, prolonging life, less sludge building up in the engine. Oh yeah. Thanks, Scott. And guys, again, look at my page. I think he's on the right-hand side. He's listed over there, Scott H. Message him through YouTube. I know he's parting out his RBZ, unfortunately, but that's what happens, man. Sometimes we just need to take a different fork in the road in life. That said, thanks again for tuning in. Ciao a tutti, and aloha. Bye-bye.